This is a CBS News special report. I'm Charlie Rose with Nora O'Donnell and Gail King in New York. The death toll has risen to 22 from an explosion outside an arena packed with music fans in Manchester, England. 59 people are hospitalized. Many of the victims were children. Police say a suicide bomber was killed in the blast.
The bomb was set off just outside the Manchester arena where people were leaving last night's concert by the American pop star Ariana Grande. The arena can hold more than 20,000 spectators.
The video is very tough to watch. President Trump reacted this morning after meeting Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in Bethlehem.
So many young, beautiful, innocent people living and enjoying their lives murdered by evil losers in life. I won't call them monsters because they would like that term. They would think that's a great name. I will call them from now on losers, because that's what they are. They're losers. And we'll have more of them. But they're losers. Just remember that.
Mark Phillips is outside the concert arena in Manchester where the bombing investigation has been going on all night long. Mark, good morning. What can you tell us?
Well, it's a very tragic morning here, Gail, and not just for the usual reasons of a high death toll. This was an attack of a special cruelty, even by the standards of these sort of things. The victims here weren't indiscriminate victims. This bomber attacked the young. Let me just set the scene for you. The concert had just come to an end. The crowd was beginning to file out of the bowl. It was a sellout. The attacker was not in the crowd. He approached from outside, right at the point where the attackers exited into the lobby of the arena, many of them meeting their parents, many of them very young, in their young teens, and the result was this crowd fled in panic.
We had a bang and I had to run for my life.
Just really confused. There was a big bang, we could smell smoke, everyone was screaming and crying, and we were just told to come round here and didn't even know what was going on.
Police say here they believe the attacker acted on his own here at the site of the crime. However, they have an ID on him, or at least the potential for an ID. He was carrying identification. Whether that turns out to be the actual person is, of course, the issue ahead of them. And they are now investigating whether or not he acted alone in the preparation of this attack. Nora.
All right, Mark Phillips there. Thank you. Jonathan Vigliotti is at a hospital in Manchester with the latest on the victims. Jonathan, good morning.
Nora, good morning. The Royal Infirmary, where we're in front of, is one of 8 hospitals where those victims were taken to overnight. At this point, the extent of those injuries still unclear, though there are unconfirmed reports. Several people were possibly paralyzed after shrapnel struck their spines. These hospitals becoming places of hope for family, loved ones looking to reconnect with the missing. Countless still missing at this hour, and really the haunting images emerging immediately after this attack from parents waiting at the pickup point to pick up their loved ones as they were exiting, instead in shock, standing there as hundreds rushed toward them screaming. Inside, we saw images of children jumping over railings into crowds in a desperate effort to escape. We have heard from several who did manage to escape safely. Take a listen.
Everybody's pushing, everybody's shoving, the shoes being lost, phones being dropped.
Girls are crying, and we saw these women being treated by paramedics. They had like open wounds on the legs, no shoes. It was just chaos.
Those were some of the lucky ones. Again, though, missing dozens, countless still missing, according to authorities, and people going online in a desperate effort to reconnect, posting digital missing signs of their loved ones as the search continues.
Jonathan Vigliotti reporting from Manchester. Thank you. We just hear the British Prime Minister Theresa May is speaking for the first time. We'll join her now.
With cold calculation. This was among the worst terrorist incidents we have ever experienced in the United Kingdom. And although it is not the first time Manchester has suffered in this way, it is the worst attack the city has experienced and the worst ever to hit the north of England. The police and security services are working at speed to establish the complete picture, but I want to tell you what I can at this stage. At 10:33 last night, the police were called to reports of an explosion at Manchester Arena in Manchester city centre near Victoria train station. We now know that a single terrorist detonated his improvised explosive device near one of the exits of the venue, deliberately choosing the time and place to cause maximum carnage and to kill and injure indiscriminately. The explosion coincided with the conclusion of a pop concert, which was attended by many young families and groups of children. All acts of terrorism are cowardly attacks on innocent people, but this attack stands out for its appalling, sickening cowardice, deliberately targeting innocent, defenseless children and young people who should have been enjoying one of the most memorable nights of their lives. As things stand, I can tell you that, in addition to the attacker, 22 people have died and 59 people have been injured. Those who were injured are being treated in 8 different hospitals across Greater Manchester. Many are being treated for life-threatening conditions. And we know that among those killed and injured were many children and young people. We struggle to comprehend the warped and twisted mind that sees a room packed with young children not as a scene to cherish, but as an opportunity for carnage. But we can continue to resolve to thwart such attacks in future, to take on and defeat the ideology that often fuels this violence, and if there turn out to be others responsible for this attack, to seek them out and bring them to justice. The police and security services believe that the attack was carried out by one man, but they now need to know whether he was acting alone or as part of a wider group. It will take some time to establish these facts, and the investigation will continue. The police and security services will be given all the resources they need to complete that task. The police and security services believe they know the identity of the perpetrator, but at this stage of their investigations, we cannot confirm his name. The police and emergency services have, as always, acted with great courage, and on behalf of the country, I want to express our gratitude to them. They acted in accordance with the plans they have in place and the exercises they conduct to test those plans, and they performed with the utmost professionalism. 400 police officers were involved in the operation through the night, and many paramedics, doctors and nurses have worked valiantly amid traumatic and terrible scenes to save lives and care for the wounded. Significant resources have been deployed to the police investigation, and there continue to be visible patrols around Manchester, which include the deployment of armed officers. For people who live and work in Manchester, there remains a large cordon in place around Manchester Arena and Victoria Station, which will be in place for some time. The station is closed and will remain closed while a detailed forensic search is underway. We know that many friends and relatives of people caught up in the attack are still trying to find out what has happened to their children, brothers and sisters, parents and loved ones. So please, think of those people who are experiencing unimaginable worry, and if you have any information at all relating to the attack, please contact Greater Manchester Police. The threat level remains at severe. That means that a terrorist attack remains highly likely. But the Independent Joint Terrorism Analysis Centre, which sets the threat level on the basis of the intelligence available to them, will continue to assess this throughout today and in the days ahead. Later today, I will travel to Manchester to meet the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police, Ian Hopkins, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, and members of the emergency services who have come to Manchester's aid in its moment of need. And as I announced last night, the general election campaign has been suspended. I will chair another meeting of COBRA later today. At terrible moments like these, it is customary for leaders, politicians and others to condemn the perpetrators and declare that the terrorists will not win. But the fact that we have been here before, and the fact that we need to say this again, does not make it any less
So we've been
true.
listening to British Prime Minister Theresa May on the UK explosion in Manchester that happened late yesterday evening in England. Right now, 22 confirmed dead, 59 injured, many of them critically. We'll be following the latest developments in Manchester as well, and we'll bring you any new developments throughout the morning.